Welcome and welcome back. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new ones as well. Let me take you back in history. Let me tell all of you who aren't that familiar with Umeå and the Västerbotten county what this place is. What kind of universe this is. Actually, this has been a really important place for many people during the years. We used to dance here. We used to have a good meal. We used to get to know each other, perhaps fall in love, fall out of love. Some of you are nodding, yeah. It's been a really, really important place for many of us. And later on, it became a really important place for students. And for all of us who have studied here in Umeå, we have been here, we have broadened our perspectives, we have got to know people from all over the world, from different parts of Sweden, cross-sectional. We have really broadened our perspectives. We established relations, we established networks, both private and professional, and for many of us, these networks are still important. So it's been a really important place. My name is Annakarin Nyberg. I'm an internet researcher and a teacher. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a quite nerdy author. I work as a business coach, and it's really nice to be here with you today and to rediscover that this can continue to be an important place, but we will see it in a new, more updated way, perhaps more innovative than it used to be. And here with us today to tell us a little bit more about this place is our site manager, Philip Hopkin. Please welcome Philip with an applause.
Thank you. Hello.
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 Finally, we stand here, Philip. How do you feel?
Absolutely awesome. What a journey. Every single one I've been on since we started. I started in the company 2 months ago. And we got to be within 2 weeks of an embiggening back in that time. A lot of change since then, not just for the working lab and for the university, but a lot changed in society, and everybody that sits there have taken a part in that. So it's awesome. I would choose the word awesome to see everybody actually in an environment sitting here together. So welcome back.
Thank you. Tell us, what kind of environment is this?
That's an interesting choice of word, environment. I could possibly talk for about an hour and a half
but you have
just on an
45
environment by
seconds.
itself.
I challenge you.
Yeah. I think one thing that we've learned in the last 2 years is something that we lost in the COVID, and it's really important that it's back, and it's something we took for granted for a long time. And it's my great hope and great passion that the one thing we learned from the COVID is the importance of community, importance of friendship, and importance of self, of being. So the word I would like to use for the environment, what kind of environment we will foster and nurture and be passionate for, would be inclusive. That you're welcome to come here on a broad spectrum, from if you're a researcher that's very well developed, very well known, or if you're one of the partners that is infusing, growing and developing in the region, or if you're a student like one of the boot camp members was here yesterday and just has an idea for a business, you can step in this door, put your hand up, say, hi, I need help, I don't have much of an idea, and either I or one of the partners or somebody that sits in the room and our extended network, and it's inclusivity, and it's the importance of inclusivity in culture, the culture of community. And that will be our big, if we can leave the legacy here, it will be community and it will be inclusivity.
We're going to meet some of the partners later on in a discussion. Please tell us a little bit about them. In what way are they partners to this working lab?
Well, everybody needs a support network. All of them are very important to the ecosystem and the development and growth, both in import and export to the region. So on that level. On another level, they are very good confidants to me because they know the region. They're very used to the region and how it grows and develops. They're extremely useful in terms of networking, and they're good friends too.
It's said that it's in the positive friction that innovation or magic appears. When people meet, when we meet different skills, knowledge, and so on, it leads to innovation. How do you go about shaping this lab in a way that promotes positive friction for innovation?
Yeah, I think if you sow the seed in the beginning, which has, as we talked about, inclusivity, community, culture, if you foster that and have an open environment that people feel welcome to walk into, it may not be the tradition of innovation, but it's the start of innovation, the acorn that builds from that. And from there we can build a family tree, if you like, an infrastructure. We don't just have the working lab here in Umeå as well, we have in Stockholm and in Göteborg. So we're a national family too. So I would say that's quite important. The word innovation is quite broad. Within this space and the COVID, to begin with, we dropped out of events. When I first started, we had 45 events in the calendar, and they all went out. So we got on the telephone straight away, found somebody like these guys that can stream, and then we actually started talking with local companies like North Kingdom, who work in so many different areas of technology, design, art, and we have brought that into the environment. So a very broad level of innovation.
I'm going to get a bit personal. I'm married to a man who really likes knowing that one day is the same as the next one.
Oh, right.
And but working in a lab like this one, it's quite the opposite. You have to be, I guess, curious and open for the unexpected. That's central. For whom is the environment established?
Yeah. Again, very good question. And the obvious answer would be, the entrepreneurs, the enthusiasts, the ambitions. But no, not really. Again, it's very, very broad. If you are somebody that's brave enough to walk through the door, let's say you're a programmer, and they can be a little bit introverted, then the responsibility is on myself and the partners and the rest of the community to develop with them, find different paces, different horses for different courses, really. So we're very open. If you're not a natural ambition and enthusiast, you're still welcome here to come and develop in the environment. But if you are the one that bounces in through the door as well and says, hey, I have an absolutely brilliant idea for a business, then you're welcome to be in too. But it's understanding, part of my job is to understand who the community is, what tempo they go to, what the personalities are, what the emotion is. A bit like feeling the temperature, really. But all welcome. Inclusive, not exclusive.
Could you say that people with a mindset characterized by generosity and win-win is important? It should be part of the sort of the business model or the
no,
the
not
attitude?
necessarily. I mean,
No.
it's absolutely welcome to have those kind of people. But I mean, I have been working previously with people who were a really important part of a job or a really important part of a team that were not the natural enthusiasts, but still they were important to the makeup of the environment and the whole team. So again, that word, inclusivity and understanding of it.
Thank you very much, Philip Hopkin. Please take a seat. We will talk later on again. A big applause. Thank you. So it's now time for me to introduce our keynote speaker, Michela Magas, and try Googling her name. You will find it pretty difficult to explain all her knowledge and experiences with just a few words. But as this is it's my job, I will try to do it. She's a designer, she's an entrepreneur, she's an innovation specialist, and she was the first woman from the creative industry to receive the European Woman Innovator of the Year award by the European Commission. Yesterday she gave a speech for the European Commission, and today she is here with us. Please welcome Michela Magas.
Thank you for this kind introduction, and it's so great to be here in person. I can't even tell you. It's been 2 years of sort of a little bit of the dark ages, even though we were actually very, very lucky to be able to do all of this stuff that some of the things that you are about to see out of a gård in Nurmjöle. And then we were super happy to have this wonderful work-life balance, to be able to be in this wonderful region here and actually shaking things up at European level right from here. And so I am, as it has been so generously mentioned, actually working very closely with the European Commission. I'm currently, and in the last year and a bit, have been member of the high-level roundtable of President von der Leyen and her big new initiative called the New European Bauhaus. And it is a real privilege to be in that situation, because I am able to translate directly into high-level policy the best practice that happens in these kinds of places. So I really want to speak about the importance of the lab. And in the last 2 years, we were supposed to launch this 2 years ago. It was sad that we couldn't. But actually, in truth, in the meantime, the lab has become something really quite important. And I'm very, very happy to build on what Philip has said, because I agree absolutely 100% with everything that he has said. And actually, I think that some of the things that I'll be able to tell you totally build on Philip's vision. So this is what happened since. This is President von der Leyen in her State of the Union address in September 2020, announcing that she wishes to create an initiative that actually creates is based on a co-creation space between various different disciplines working together. And this is a major, major breakthrough, both in terms of interdisciplinarity, and actually that being the foundation for high-level policy, but also in terms of, for the first time, setting the scene for policy that's based on grassroots innovation. And this was a very bold move, and many people were skeptical. And I can tell you that since then, not only has the entire European program, including the Horizon program, if you look at destinations, even for industry, for those of you who are academics and are on European projects, you will see that in the new European Bauhaus, basic principles are integrated into the whole Horizon program. But even more so, I mean, I'm starting with politics. We're not going to have a whole talk about politics. But yesterday I opened the new program for Interreg. We are really keen that the principles of sustainability, inclusion, as it has been mentioned already, and aesthetics are integrated, and aesthetics particularly also as emanating out of a sense of community, so not just form. They are rolled out across the European regions, and I was super proud to be able to report to President von der Leyen in our meeting in person. The first meeting in person we had was this January, that Sweden is championing this, and where in this region. So what's really incredible is that I am currently on a project with Boverket, with Energimyndigheten. Excuse my struggle with the Swedish. Formas, ArcDes, and Vinnova on a project now where we are galvanizing troops on the ground, 11 wonderful multidisciplinary teams working with 6 municipalities, Kiruna, Gällivare, Luleå, Boden, Skellefteå, and Umeå, to actually create ideas for future development of these cities, and the Swedish government has already confirmed that it will be funding that. So I was actually able to report to President von der Leyen that actually first national and regional initiatives is right here, and she was super, super proud of this. So on that note, we will go into some real examples of what the labs can do. And the reason why the labs have been accepted at high level as so important is because of the evidence that we've been able to show what you can do with these spaces for co-creation. And this is another well-known politician endorsing what we were doing back in 2016 in his last month of presidency, when he was asked to guest edit Wired magazine in the US. And on the right, you see the champion of our community, whom I engaged at the time when our community, we now run a community that's over 8,000 global contributors in innovation. When it went over 5,000, we engaged Victoria Modesta to actually represent our community, because I wanted it to be a woman. I wanted it to be someone who is not afraid to challenge preconceptions, who's not afraid to experiment with technology or to shift paradigms. And she is someone who became then a fellow of MIT, and who actually closed the Paralympics in London, and she's a star in the US now. And so the focus of our labs are always human transformations, and what we can do to actually not only make people equal. So the inclusion in our labs is not just about ticking all of the boxes, but it's about places where we converge. It's about radical inclusion, and it's about how do we enable people with various different innovative tools to be truly extraordinary and people we can all aspire to. So, and that was our motivation between putting Victoria at the center of our lab back in 2016. Now, this is these are some of the results of what happened in our experimentation. Here she's fitted with a carbon fiber bodice and with several sensors. A wonderful designer, Anouk Whiprecht, generated a prosthetic leg for Victoria that actually reacted to particular sensors, and she was able to control smoke from this prosthetic leg. And this was playful and fun, but it was also challenging our idea of what a prosthetic needs to be, or what does a person who has those kinds of needs, what do they actually need, or how do we enable them to express themselves in different ways, use it as a tool. One thing that was a particular breakthrough for us that time was our neurofeedback team got Victoria to train to control the lighting environment through neurofeedback. And she was actually training for the entire week, and we thought that she might or might not be able to do it. But actually, by the end of the week, she was able to do it seamlessly. So we were really surprised at just how plastic the human brain is, that it can actually coordinate performance, singing, all kinds of choreography, as well as being able to control the lighting environment using neurofeedback all at the same time. This is the documentary that MIT Media Lab made about our labs in Berlin, and you will see some MIT students actually that at the time Joy Ito sent over to work with us. What's wonderful about this image though, and the reason I show it, is just how many women are collaborating here in this lab, and this is another very, very important topic for us, because when it comes to technological laboratories, you don't often see so many women, and in our labs we actually have real equity. We then took our ideas forward. Our labs are acupuncture points for people to develop their projects and for their own personal development, but the projects develop in between. And in this particular case, we were asked to open Slush. It's 2017, that's right. We've run 20 labs around the world in the past 10 years, so I have to keep track of where all of them were. And in this case, we thought we would take things further with 30 people from completely different disciplines, lots from science and then lots from the arts, joining forces. And what we wanted to do with Slush was do something a bit different. They asked us to open Slush with something a bit different. We had a week of labs. We cooked up all kinds of new things during this week of labs. And then we decided not to do a 3-minute pitch, but to challenge that idea, because we felt that 3-minute pitches actually convey one simple idea very well. What we wanted to do was create an experience, because the kinds of technologies we're producing affect human beings at a deeper level and therefore need to be experienced. So it turned into a 20-minute performance. We place at the center Rika Hänninen. She is a vocal coach from the Sibelius Academy, absolutely amazing vocalist. She is very proud to be a blind singer. And the first thing we asked her was, what does she need? I will let her sing folk music with the words from the Kalevala in the background here, if we can hear it a little bit. Here we go, you can hear it in the background. This is Rika practicing. She can do lots of different things. She also does really hardcore, and she can do lots of things with her voice. But we asked her, what do you need? What do you currently... what do you wish you would have on stage when you perform? And she said, well, actually, interestingly enough, I don't know how the audience feels. I can't see them. And so we said, okay, well, let's do something super simple technologically, and that is to actually hook up the audience with pulse sensors and then join them to you. So this is by no means, as everybody who's here a researcher in technology will know, it's no scientific breakthrough. However, in terms of social impact, in terms of communication, in terms of the new environment that this set up, sometimes a simple application of technology in this environment can create a completely new human experience. And this is what happened. We had a rush for the stage at Slush for people to be fitted with those sensors so that they could actually communicate to the singer and the singer could actually respond to them. But the more important thing was for us to take the neurofeedback work forward. And what happened was that because of this wonderful cross-disciplinary environment, the neurofeedback team adapted a system from clinical trials for people with anxiety attacks. Neurofeedback is used to visualize brain activity. And when brain patterns change, they tend to change before an attack. They can be spotted early, and the patient can be trained to start to control it. Or control the attack. Except that this time they experimented by turning the visualization into the musical scale. And so one was able to train to play the musical scale directly from their brain. And it took 2 hours on average for people in the lab to train to play the musical scale directly from their brain. Which is actually already quite remarkable, of course, because you're removing the motorics, so the brain is really plastic and it starts to train to express itself very, very fast. But then Rika put the neurofeedback sensor on, and she was able to play instantly. And then we were all, like the neurofeedback guys said, we've never seen anything like this before. And we said, well, actually, this is very interesting. What we should do is think about how did we define a person during the so-called mechanical era as person with special needs, because they couldn't see the lever to move. And now in the era of brain-computer interfaces, they're far more talented than the rest of us. So, of course, what we then need to do is think about how do we define the future of work, or how do we categorize people in the future, and what are the questions we ask. So this is what drives us. This is why we then go and report to policymakers. Because these are fundamental questions and fundamental redefinitions of human ability. So a little bit of background very, very fast, because I don't want to bore you with my background, but because everybody says it's so complicated to even understand what I do. I grew up with architects. This is me standing with my father's work at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. I was very proud that 5 of his projects are in the collection. And I then graduated from Royal College of Art in London in design, and then ended up working with Apple, Nike, Nokia type of companies, together with my partner from the Royal College of Art, Peter Russell Clark, who went to Apple on the design of the first iPhone and has been there ever since. This is him in the patenting ecosystem of Apple, one of the biggest owners of patents or authors of patents for Apple. And on the other hand, I was invited 4 times. I actually worked on, consulted on iTunes from the start. I worked with, I was very interested in music data, so I was in very early days, because I observed that well, aside from being a huge fan of music, like lots of people, I observed that the whole music industry was really challenged with their business model as of the advent of Napster in '99. So I was really also interested in data because I had been working with the Financial Times for many years on all of these data streams and organizing data. So because I was into data, I actually ended up being invited by the University of London on a very prestigious project that was funded, or rather we were applying jointly for funding. And because I've been working with Peter Gabriel's companies on how we manage digital music online, they thought that the experience of iTunes and that was really, really useful to the engineers who were actually addressing how to do new ways of searching for music using data. And I will just let you hear one of the final results that ended up on the exhibition together with McLaren and Airbus during the London Olympics. So just a couple of seconds of... So that's a dialogue between China and Ireland, and this is a system that I wrote which actually identifies different patterns, features of music, and actually joins different countries and parts of the world depending on similarity in the features of music. Now, this led me to being headhunted by the European Commission. It also led to a patent in music search, but to cut long story short, basically, my ambition when I was headhunted to run a roadmap for this field for the European Commission was that I really wanted to unite academia and industry and artists and scientists in a space of common understanding. And I was told this was incredibly difficult and it was never going to happen. This is us at the London Symphony Orchestra in the Barbican in London doing just that. So academia and industry and science and art working together with the Brainwave Quartet and performing together. This led to this whole huge community that exploded. When I attempted to unite people, it seemed to succeed, and therefore we ended up with this growing community right from the outset, a big festival, lots of contributions. This is us in New Zealand. We were on tour all over the world. As I say, we've run 20 of those, but I'm just highlighting the cross-cultural aspects and also political divides that we managed to bridge. For instance, this is us in Berlin with Rani Dar from Israel and Ahmad Bakri from Palestine collaborating together. Some really major awards like Ars Electronica that emanated from the people who are from our community. This is, for instance, a communication with biological systems via sound, and by Robertina Šebjanić, who's become since then fellow of Ars Electronica and currently nominated for 2 awards. Again, there are several other nominations this year, by the way, from our community. Then also teaching children how to collaborate in these environments and also how to experiment. And of course, we know that there's some wonderful things that can be done. Currently, there is some wonderful projects from Erasmus that we're running with more mature students of 17-year-olds in Umeå, actually, and they've been fantastic. But just to give you an idea of the experience that the child goes through. This is in the Barbican in London in front of a huge audience. I mean, they are so cute because, of course, it's not just that they have learned something in 3 hours, but they're actually able to express themselves in front of people. They get a reaction, and then they build confidence. So that's quite a different thing. And this is one of our youngest DJs in Stockholm more recently. Pre-corona. And of course, other aspects of this. I actually made it a point in Stockholm. Stockholm was the biggest event we've ever had. It was 800 people prototyping and getting their hands dirty from all kinds of backgrounds. But I wanted to put women in charge of all technology areas, not as women in tech. That's a different thing. This is about putting women in charge with a completely multi-gender environment. So people could choose from, 4 different categories if they wish to declare themselves in a particular gender. We ended up also, you will recognize some of the faces here, and at the beginning there is Imogen Heap, a famous global artist who's also, we redefine the notion of what these women are or what they're about, what they're into, because she is actually a blockchain activist and has initiated some very important, she's been behind the important initiatives in that field, but also Danica Kragic, whom I'm sure quite a lot of you know, and also Kelly Snook, who's NASA scientist, and Nancy Bain from Microsoft Research, etc. Also, Eva Kaili, MEP, member of European Parliament, as woman in the lead of politics, role models that she's also champion of science. So we really wanted to, or the junction between the science and the arts, so we really wanted to change preconceptions of what these women stand for. And as a result of these 800 plus people who collaborated and prototyped, 53% declared themselves as female in a technology prototyping event, which is quite remarkable. And this is, for instance, Imogen sending her voice to the moon. Again, not a scientific breakthrough. We send it through the Dwingeloo radio telescope in the north of Holland. It gets converted to light waves, bounces off the surface of the moon, comes back into your ear. 83 people in the high-level lab did that just because it was a wonderful experience, not because it was a scientific breakthrough, but what it does do, it changes their mindset, because they start to look at themselves and everybody else from a completely different perspective, and that's what really matters. I want you to hear a few words from the people who were part of it.
We are now 25 meters underground in Sweden's first nuclear reactor, now also known as the Cathedral of Science.
Many brains. I feel like brains walking around.
I'm totally amazed by this place, honestly. It's my first music Techfest.
The most important thing are the conversations that happen, the cross-pollination of different skill sets.
I can speak easily, communicate easily in this kind of environment.
So the interesting thing about MTF is that every year there's a theme, and we try to use that theme to help our development of that year.
We chose this AI lab because AI is something that is inevitable.
The first step is that AI is actually a companion, right, for humans and accompanying human existence.
There's a whole bunch of different projects happening, but what I see is a number of different specialists interacting, trying to speak to each other.
People here are like creating own stuff and creating new stuff. I would like to, but it would be really cool to see what they do.
What I think can be interesting is the challenge, what human can already do. If it can expand our boundaries of perception, if it can challenge us to be even more creative. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what comes out of it.
So the diversity, I think, strikes you immediately. I mean, there is no barrier to anybody entering this lab. Of course, they are all curated very carefully as a group of people and as brilliant minds who bring their own perspective. The guys with the dreadlocks actually were behind one of the big Google X Prize challenges, actually. Incredible people. So don't ever get confused by sort of the variety. They're all unbelievable. None of them are more important than others. And this is what this shows, but also the fact that, some of the enablements that we've been able to achieve have been reported here in The Guardian, for example, 3 of our projects. And you saw Tim Palm, or aka DJ Arthro, speak. I will just let him speak a tiny bit more.
DJ Arthro is my artist name, and I do electronic dance music. I built my own spaceship, I call it, and control music and video and light at the same time.
I run an organization called Human Instruments. We're helping DJ Arthro because currently his workarounds restrict him in the way that he has to use his nose to start loops and stop loops. It doesn't leave him free to then play play the instruments.
So, just to clarify, this is a graduate of computer science from KTH. And 2 days after, they created a new rigging system for him so he could actually use different parts of his body to express himself. His music was featured on BBC worldwide. He was then later picked up by Tom Robinson, famous DJ in Britain. They won jointly, the group of people who contributed, the KTH Innovation Prize. They were incubated with KTH Innovation, went on tour in London and Korea to sell out gigs. Also, the following year, at the Reeperbahn Festival, won the International Sound Awards. And Tim has actually, as a result, instead of becoming a teacher in computer science, which was what was original intention, has actually created his own production company, which he has been running, and he also works with us. He produces for us videos, but he's also now on an Erasmus project which is called Open Minds. This is about student curricula for people who have accessibility needs to work with students, together with other students, on initiatives that are entirely inclusive. So we are writing the curriculum for that, and he's, of course, working with us. And other places, like we were in residence in Örebro, in the AI Impact Lab. I'll let you hear a couple of minutes about this.
With Music Techfest, we wanted to give our students and mentors a chance to engage in creative workshops and to help inspire them on how they can use their knowledge within AI in new ways. People from multidisciplinary backgrounds were brought together to create prototypes as well as to further develop earlier projects, such as the Loop Free project, which is an award-winning accessible musical instrument that enables wireless looping in Ableton Live, which is a software and hardware for music creation and live performance, without the need for screen interactions, where AI was used to craft an intelligent interactive video system that was reactive to facial expression. In another project, the Accents in Motion team developed a dance AI, where they used sensors on 2 dancers that, together with the possibility to explore distance between them in our robot lab and live coding in their dance performance, they used that data to make the dancers create music with their movements instead of the other way around.
So, more projects, of course. This is us defying the format. This is an ongoing AI-generated music that's been now developed by DadaBots, one of our oldest members, for many years, and an absolutely sophisticated way to test what AI, or rather neural networks in particular, can do. But of course, it completely recreated a format for music, which is an ongoing and never-ending format. Questioning why do we need to have a 3-minute Motown format in this day and age. Now, of course, as a result of these collaborations and the result of witnessing some of the outcomes of this, a wonderful group of Ivy League college people mainly, including Georgina Bourne from the University of Oxford, for example, gathered after one of our labs and decided to create a manifesto for us. And this was quite a breakthrough for me, and it was quite a challenge. I then, when I came to Umeå, actually, we won the European funding to turn the methods that we have been involving into a pilot program. And this pilot program, this is some of the stuff, in fact, some of you might actually know the guys on the top right there from the Umeå Hackspace. And actually one of the guys is now with Virginia Dignam, right? Yeah, that's right. These methods, I can tell you for fact, because we have actually documented 74% of the innovation recommendations for the Connect Advisory Forum, the DG Connect, European Commission Horizon program, came directly from our labs. We basically were able to demonstrate that we can reduce, for instance, the time to patenting to really short timeline, because also we were developing systems for tracking intellectual property, so it was absolutely clear once an innovation happened how we should manage the intellectual property. There were no arguments at that point. There was no one who could come and hijack it. And this is, for instance, us in Slush following the creation of intellectual property in the blockchain. This has now also become a very big thing on the agenda in the European Commission since. I've been working with the European Innovation Council on this. And then loads of of awards, like Innovators Under 35 by MIT, follow-up funding, all kinds of Forbes and all kinds of things. Residences inside industry, so this is one of the biggest unicorns in Europe who have offices in 60 countries around the world, gathered some representatives from all of their offices for a lab in residence at their campus. This is just a snapshot of some of the industry and regional governments and organizations who have been part of that space, who have contributed to it. We have scaled it since to industry, something called Industry Commons. It has actually been it's a track inside the Directorate General for Research and Innovation, and I'm not going to bore you with technical conversations, but this is us working on interoperability. So Industry Commons is something that I launched, I proposed as a method to work cross disciplines, to scale some of our methods from the labs, particularly in a space where we need to, particularly in semantic interoperability, so ontologies are, we're creating an ontology ecosystem for that. As a result of that, for example, in our labs during the pandemic, as you can see, we were fully masked. We did 2 labs during the pandemic in Portugal, and we were, for instance, asked by the VP for AI of Tieto Evry, Christian Gutmann, if he could join us. So he spent a whole week learning from our labs. So industry also part of this. And then focusing on this new agenda of the European Bauhaus as it was growing, we wanted to challenge the preconceptions about how to create something that's sustainable and inclusive and aesthetically accomplished as well. So this is Anya Yermakova, fellow of Harvard, at one of our most recent labs, where we immersed ourselves in the largest, one of the largest areas of wetland and most biodiverse in Europe. This is literally immersing ourselves with equipment and then bringing it all back to the lab, where we were actually joined by 8 global satellites from across the Americas and across Europe, who are all bringing their knowledge in. So just a couple of last bits. I want you to just hear from the people who
Por outro lado, estar
experience this.
exposto a tantas pessoas interessantes e tantas pessoas criativas e tantas ideias e parece que há uma energia especial no ar nesta semana, neste edifício com estas pessoas, que eu acho que nos põe todos num estado mental de procurar coisas novas e de questionar, se calhar, as coisas a que estamos habituados, de ver coisas de outra forma. As conferências que temos visto e as pessoas que temos visto a falar já aconteceu várias vezes durante a semana, porém-me a pensar em várias coisas da minha vida, não só no meu trabalho, mas porque me oferecem pontos de vista novos.
I think the way this is going to affect my work is that I've just found a whole bunch of people who think in much the same way as I do. It sort of struck me on the first day, I think, that all these other people were saying things that have been rattling around in my brain for a long time, some of which I'd acted on, and others that I was sort of thinking that would be quite good to get underway. So, yeah, I found it, and I'm still finding it, remarkably inspiring.
26 countries, 50 people in person from all those different places, and then just to finish, what their words, how they describe what this should be.
Humanidade e diversidade.
Overwhelming, it's awe-inspiring and it gives me hope.
É uma família.
Exciting.
Conhecimento.
Partilha.
Passion.
Collaboration.
Criatividade.
Progressive.
Amor. Sensing creative chaos.
Parque de diversões para nerds.
So if you create a lab here that's a park for, amusement park for nerds, that's probably a good thing. And these are the people that I am very, very privileged to be working with at high level, and this is why they recognize this as being absolutely paramount now for European cohesion, for the ways to go forward, for the ways to deal with the Green Deal. But ultimately, these minds are the ones that matter. And I always say that at high level, that if every single person who contributes to these labs, to these co-creation experiences, takes one step forward in their personal development, we will have a phenomenal societal transformation. So we always say in the end, we don't predict the future, we invent it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very inspiring, mind-blowing, challenging. What do you say? Yeah? Dieter, did you recognize one of our students from the university in the pictures? We're really proud. Yeah. I was thinking, you're working all over the world. You could live everywhere in any city, and you choose to live in Umeå. Why?
That was a really deliberate choice. We were invited here, we were shown the local ecosystem, we were shown all of the wonderful things that are happening here. But also what was great was the fact that this was an agile place because of its size. Of course, with huge amount of potential for expansion, without actually creating a poorer quality of living. So a really good balance. Both in intellectual terms, with the university at its heart, and creativity also very, very strong in this city. So we really wanted to decentralize deliberately because we felt that these large global centers, at the time people didn't understand. I think they understand more now. And I think that the emphasis we are placing on the regions now and on regional innovation ecosystems, on building regional innovation ecosystems, they are really the frontier of the challenges, the environmental challenges that we need to take. So the transformations, for instance, that are happening with this project Visioner i Norr, that I mentioned at the beginning, are really very much about this transition that we have to do, both culturally in terms of inclusion, both in terms of going from the old paradigm for industry to the new ecosystemic approach by industry, and also environmentally. We need to make a really strong transition very fast.
Thank you. It's been very common to establish co-working spaces during the recent years, and in the light of your experience, what do you consider to be the success factors, and what should we avoid in a place like this?
Yeah. Well, the first thing you don't want to be is a place where someone just comes and pops down their laptop, right? I mean, because they can do that anywhere. It is a place for co-creation, for interaction, and it's a place for common understanding. So if you create a sufficiently level playing field, this is something that the university struggles to do because in individual departments, for very good reasons, they have their projects that dictate their own remit. They can't just suddenly apportion one part of that project fund to some co-creation activity. So they need a neutral space that can do that for them. And if you do create that neutral space, it's very important it doesn't become a big mashup and then we cancel all of the disciplines. What's important is that each discipline brings their knowledge to the table, and then suddenly people are fascinated by each other and they actually start to illuminate their knowledge and their subject matter from a different perspective. And that's incredibly useful. We have found that it leads to great breakthroughs.
We are right now standing in the middle of the campus in Umeå. What does it mean that the Working Lab is established in the heart of our campus?
So yeah, this is basically continuing on what I was just saying, that if you have this in the middle of the campus, this is the neutral ground where people can come in from the different domains. And then I guess what's really important then is if it does create this strong space with common understanding between the different departments, it also needs to be there needs to be a methodology that's applied for regular co-creation and regular events that bring people together, so they really see the value. I mean, they all come together in this, as I say, on neutral ground. But then when they go back, this is what we have found with our labs. They all run back and write papers, because they apply what they have learned to their domain, back to their domain. So it is a brilliant thing to have it right in the middle of the university for that reason.
Thank you. I think that we have time for a question from the audience, and I have a microphone. Do we have any questions? Please raise your hand.
All right. First of all, thank you so much for a very inspirational lecture. My name is Hannah. I'm a student here on this campus studying business and economics. And I'm wondering if you could give yourself, like your 20-year-old self, a tip. What would that be?
Oh, that's a really tough question, because when I was 20, I believe that, let me think now. I think there were some really difficult times, much like they are now with the Ukraine, you know, and so I was actually having to deal with some really big societal challenges. And then, of course, the thing that was really on my mind at the time was survival, much more than personal expression, which is, of course, the other end of the spectrum. And this is what we try to encourage here. So if at that time someone had given me the space where we could actually collaborate and I could come to that realization that expressing ourselves through knowledge, translating our ideas into practice is the perfect antidote to some of these really visceral and let's say, aggressive and violent actions that we're experiencing, for instance, on European soil now, and we were at that time experiencing in the Balkans. I was born in Zagreb, just to clarify. Then I think I would have had a great deal more confidence and faith in humanity at that point, and it would have given me the tools to know how to react. And just to put that into context, and I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit over time, but we recently had emergency meetings about the situation in the Ukraine with the high-level roundtable. And what was very interesting, I think, not only in our meetings with the President's team, but also in my recent interaction with the European Parliament, that instead of thinking that the European Bauhaus initiative about this idea of sustainability, inclusion and aesthetics was luxury at this moment in time, and that we should think about how to fight back this aggression that's happening to us in Europe, actually it was nominated as the way in which we respond to those kinds of actions. So actually, in terms of social impacts, in terms of how you reshape our systems of how we work, how we collaborate, how we interact, and how we push our society forward, there are so many different aspects where this area of collaboration and coming to a space of common understanding has an impact. I hope that.
Thank you very much, Michela Magas. Let's give a warm round of applause. Thank you. So now it's time for me to welcome 4 of the Working Lab partners. Please welcome Anders Kjellander, representing Umeå Science Park, Tapio Alakörkkö, representing SLU Holding, Thomas Gustafsson, the Innovationssluss, and Mats Falk, representing both Innovationskontoret and Umeå Holding. Welcome. You have. So, to all of you, how does it feel to stand here, finally be able to stand here and help us to say welcome back? Thomas. Sorry, first of all, what do you say in English? You don't say Innovationsslussen, you say Innovation Gateway?
We say Innovation Gateway,
Okay,
yeah.
Innovation Gateway, thank you.
So, I work at the Innovation Gateway, and we work with innovations within healthcare.
Yeah.
And we work with the staff, but also the different departments at the hospital. And a place like this is a way for us to merge the healthcare sector with other sectors in society and see new ways of collaboration.
And do you succeed in that merging?
Well, when do you succeed? I don't know. But it's our ambition in a way,
yeah,
to find new ways of collaboration and find ways for new startups and companies to enter the healthcare sector and provide us with new ideas and new opportunities for innovation, basically. Yeah.
Tapio, when I spoke to you before this day, you spoke very warmly about this place. You told me this is your workplace, and what makes it so interesting from your perspective?
For me, this is an arena, and especially for SLU Holding and Green Innovation Park, that we can together work across disciplinaries, different subject areas, so to say. In Umeå, we have incubators and support systems for technology. We have for biotech. We have for creative and cultural subjects. And now when we are thinking of establishing Green Innovation Park, here also in Umeå, that would be the last piece of puzzle, to be the gathering the whole range of different subjects. And being here in this environment where we can closely talk to the other subjects directly and support each other, then it doesn't matter so much where the idea comes from, but we can find the right support system, or the right support for
It sounds really great, but can you be more precise? How do you support each other? What do you need to be supported with?
I can
Give
connect
an example.
I can connect that to what Phil said in the beginning, by being inclusive. In one way, if we have a broad range of both knowledge and experience and subjects, it doesn't matter who walks in from the door. We can all pitch in and see how can we manage this type of questions in that, by closely being both present and in this environment in that way.
Mats and Anders, what makes this place interesting from your perspectives? Mats?
Yeah, of course, our mission is to help researchers, students and employees of the university. And this is right in the center of the cross section of the university. So we have our target group right here, and we have our friends here to help us to do this, of course. And we do have this that Michaela talked about, this environment, or this venue that we can bring to life with people, really. And this is so good after the pandemic, because I moved in here the 1st of March 2020, and I moved home the 15th of March. and now I'm back, we are back, and things are happening. So I really agree with Phil that this is what makes this place.
Anders, what's your perspective?
Yeah, I would say, like Science Park, we aim to, at the bottom line, we aim to make Umeå more attractive for both people and business companies. And we have to, well, our plans are on a rather grand scale, I would say, but this is a good start. And I would also like to say that it's not possible for Science Park to achieve that by itself. It has to be done with partnerships, and all people you who listens on this, you can be a partner or collaboration to achieve this. So a great start, and located in a, well, I wouldn't say in the middle of campus. It's more or less in the outskirts of campus, but in a good place. And that's really a point, because if it would be 200 meters inside there, in that direction, no one outside academia would go there. So this is a great place.
On the other hand, it's close to the hospital and the region of Västerbotten, so we are in the middle of that.
And that's actually one of the main things, that we are in the middle of everything. We have two universities, Umeå University and SLU. We have the university hospital, but we also have the Umeå Arts Campus within 1 kilometer. And we also have Röbäcksdalen, which is part of SLU's environment for creating different kind of actual applications, building different things, on also if it's within the green field, like growing crops or testing within different kind of green areas. So within a few kilometers, we have a very unique situation here in Umeå. And top of that, you could put also the the spirit in that how we work, because it's very close to speak each other within this AWL, and also to contact other colleagues in other ways. And all of us are interested of developing both the area, but also the region in that way.
Because we have a lot of new co-working places in Umeå, but this is a special one, you say.
Yeah.
Because it's placed here in the heart of the university, with closeness to all of the interests that you mentioned.
Yeah, and together with the both university, we have almost 35,000 students. We have 4,000 employees, or 4,000 plus employees together with SLU and Umeå. And that's something which is unique for this. And we have a number of ideas growing from the academia, both students and researchers. And to create that flow of ideas and to channelize that will be something for us to work on in the future.
Anders.
And lots of those collaborations, they result in projects. Like, if you're not aware of it, we have a project that's called Digital Impact North. And that's a collaboration between us and Umeå Kommun and RISE. You can look it up on the internet. But what we are trying to do is to help Umeå to be more digital. You can sum it up.
Another project is the support office for life science and health, which also is us. And life science will be one of the issues for the innovation partnership for Umeå, and SLU is also included in that. So that's very good.
Mats, you mentioned that you moved in here and then you moved out because of the pandemic. And I'm thinking, how have recent years challenged or developed our opportunities to create meeting places for innovation? Have we developed something, or are we just so happy to see each other again? What have we learned from the pandemic? Have we become better to create places for innovation? If so, how?
Maybe
it's a question for all of you.
Maybe we long for it, I suppose. But Michaela, you talked about a little bit what you've learned, and I think we've learned this hybrid meetings a little bit better. I think it's really challenging from time to time with those, and especially the networking, and especially if we want to find ideas that we could help to commercialize or innovate, help them on the way. It's really hard to do that in a digital world, because you can't have this meeting and after meeting where you actually talk about your ideas. But I think we are becoming better at it. But I think we need the personal meeting, and I will talk about it a little bit in an event we had yesterday.
Thank you.
Later on.
Tapio, you wanted to...
Yes, according to that, I hope and I think that the last 2 years has both shown us and helped us to express what do we want. We are more clear in that what we do want, so that makes the choices more choosable in that way. By being able to express, we don't want that, but we want that instead of saying, oh, everything is possible. But I think we are more sharp in what we want to do in that.
Thank you. Thomas?
Yeah, but I mean, this environment and other co-working spaces as well, I mean, it's about meeting people.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you might bump into somebody that you had previously not known, but you realize that this is a great opportunity. If we could collaborate or do something, we would really create something tremendously better. And that's what you're lacking with the digital meetings, because I never had as much meetings as the past 2 years. Exactly. It's been 10 meetings a day, but no small talk afterwards. So, I mean, you missed that part.
So do I. Thank you very much for taking part of this discussion. I know that there will be time to talk to you in the mingle and eating session later on. Let's give a warm round of applause. Thank you very much. And Mats, you will stay with me because you will take over and introduce the next part of the program. You will talk about the Innovation Bootcamp that took place during this weekend. Are you ready?
Right. I just want to connect my computer. And this is what I want to talk about. It's the Innovation Bootcamp. This is one of the meeting places that we need in a place like this. It was a 4-day event filled with inspiration, entrepreneurship, innovation, and networking in different kinds. And most of all, as Eleanor, that was in charge of it, said, it's a time to develop a person by stepping out of the comfort zone. And this is something that all the participants did, I think. It was like 30 participants, 12 teams, from 1 to 4 person in each team. And some that attended had already an idea that when they came, and some just invented the idea during the boot camp. And it was students from all sectors, from life science students to business students to sociology students. And Innovation Bootcamp starts with an idea workshop with the Venture Cup, where the participants develop a new business idea and or develop the one that they brought in. And during the weekend, the boot camp, the team works with their idea, with support from business coaches from the entire support system in Umeå. And there was also an inspirational seminar from the founder of Coeo, which is a local startup which is a part of the incubator at Umeå Innovation. And the final event was yesterday, and for the final for the event. And during the event, teams pitched their business ideas in front of a jury. And we at the Innovation Office leads the event together with the companion in Västerbotten, and we arrange it together with the whole innovation support system in Umeå, actually. And by arranging the Innovation Bootcamp, we want to show this cooperation between all the organizations, but also cross-disciplinary innovation at the student level. Mostly students take part. And we also arrange it to invite people that are interested in entrepreneurship and to form a network and introduce it to the ecosystem of business support we have here at AWL. And AWL is, of course, a perfect spot for a innovation bootcamp like this. And of course, after the innovation bootcamp, we help the ideas further with our normal system. But now a big hand for this year's winner, Julia Linder.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, how does it feel?
It feels amazing.
Great. And I think we'll start with your pitch, actually, and so everyone knows what you've done during the weekend and during the Innovation Bootcamp, and then we can have a talk.
Okay.
And you can introduce yourself a little bit first.
Yes, I will. Okay.
You just use that.
Hi, my name is Julia. I actually study in Luleå, but I got to attend the event anyways, which I'm really happy about. So my idea is a governmental digital translating system. Because getting help from governmental authority is a right that everyone has. In contexts where a person does not speak a common language with the authority, an interpreter is often hired. But it can be difficult to find an interpreter for all conversations where it is needed. And even with an interpreter, there's no guarantee that the translation of the terms are correct or comprehensive. The function of interpretation in Swedish governmental organizations has today no safety net for incorrect translations, which research show creates unsafe and undemocratic processes. That is why I want to create a digital translator based on artificial intelligence that is adjusted for governmental organizations. It would be a complementing control tool that also works as a substitute for human translators when it is needed. In that way, the system would increase its legal certainty and its quality and transparency, and it would also increase equality. And I want to take current technology and develop it further and create a computer program that is also translated into an app. The municipality of Helsingborg is currently creating something similar, which is a positive sign, I think, because it shows that there really is a need for this tool and also that it is possible to perform it. I would need a team that has the expertise within AI and within programming. And the development would also be in collaboration with the organizations and the people that then later will use it. And economically, I would finance the development process with project fundings and finding investors. And when the final product is ready, I would sell it to governmental organizations for a starting fee and then a monthly subscription. And here is a kind of a prototype of the app. Yes.
Let us make our society stronger and more secure together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, isn't it? And it's almost in your field. So you put a little bit of music on it, and it's perfect. How did you come up with your idea?
I tried to find a subject for my thesis that I'm currently writing, and I talked to my sister, and I wanted to write about migration laws in Sweden, and then she told me about her friend that recently went through a migration process. Right. And he recorded the conversation so that his girlfriend can listen to it afterwards. Right. And that's how they found out that the translator and the administrator had made fun of him in front of him, but he didn't know because he didn't speak Swedish or understood it. Mm. And it made me so angry, and I started to question the power that the translator has in this situation. So I thought, why isn't there some control tool or something that would secure this? Mm. And I started to do some research, and this is a big problem for a lot of people. So
yeah. And this could be used for any language, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just to AI teaches itself. But what education do you have? Oh, what program do you follow?
I have a bachelor degree in sociology, and I study my master's now in investigation of public organizations and sociology.
Yeah. Isn't that great as well to have this technical idea with a background that you have? Is perfect. How was Innovation Bootcamp for you?
It was amazing. I got to meet so many inspiring and driven people, and I had a good team, and we supported each other a lot. And I developed my idea so much. I came with the idea to the boot camp, but it developed in like details and how to make a business of it, because I hadn't figured anything out before. Yeah.
And you had good help from the business coaches, I
yes,
suppose.
definitely.
That's good.
A lot,
and
yeah.
That's for all the students and all the researchers and employees here.
Yeah.
I think we're out of time, but I just wanted to say that for everyone in the Innovation Bootcamp, all the students, all the teams, there is a support system, of course, at SLU and all the incubators and at the Innovation Office. And for you, you're welcome back and sit here at AWL, Philip told me, whenever you're here.
Thank you. Thank
so,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
And good luck in the future.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Good luck, Julia Linder, with your important work. Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Mats. So, Phil, where are you? It's time for us to...
We end as we started, right?
We end as we started,
The
yes.
happy duo.
You took part of the Innovation Boot Camp as well.
I was, yeah. You could see me on the photograph doing the Mexican wave, but really I was just desperate to get home for the Champions League.
What did you learn from all the younger people and their
You keep
creativity?
asking me questions that I could take 2 hours to answer.
Oh, but once again, it's not possible.
I learned I have a really long thought about education and how we work in education. Traditionally, somebody had made a program or an exam or something to do. That agenda is set, and then those students come in, they learn that agenda, they take exams. But I, for a long time, have wanted more inclusivity in what the actual students say about their own education, even from the age of maybe 6, 7, or 8. It doesn't have to be in words, but you can watch and learn. And from the Innovation Bootcamp, it was just so obvious that there were so many ideas that were relevant for now. You know,
can you give us an example?
Yeah, for example, what Julia was doing.
Of course.
There were a couple of sustainable new products out there for objects or problems that we solve today. But it was just so interesting that this age group had actually thought of something for the here and the now that was sustainable. And at what point in education do they get actually bought in? You know, and it can be any level in education and say, oh, okay, you actually do know something that we can learn from. I have an 11-year-old boy. I'm 57 years old, but my kid, 11 years old, I learn from him every day. I'm a pupil to him, you know. And maybe society and education and business and everything can flip that way and learn a lot. So I was inspired hugely.
Great. What's happening now? What's happening next?
Yeah, we're going to go next door. Those that want to stay, we provided some food again. A huge thank you for everybody that's coming. Hopefully we've inspired you a little bit today as well in what we do here, who we are, who the partners are, and everybody's welcome through the door. We're going to go out through this door. You can follow linear there. And also I would like my colleagues Rebecca, Eric, Åsa, and Armando to stand up, please. While you're mingling, these guys are also all part of the Working Lab based in Stockholm or Göteborg and everywhere. So if you have any questions about the Working Lab or you want to have a tour around, then these guys are more than willing to help you. All right, thank you. Let's go and eat and mingle and do business and do stuff. And thank you very much for you, Annakarin, as well. Thank you for you.
See you out there.